All right, there it should be working. I just have to not say, okay, Google, and some of my stuff at home. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming. It's really nice to see so many faces that I haven't seen in a long time. A few of you have changed. Some of you just don't ever get older. So anyway, very sad time, of course, for all of us. And we're here to honor Jeffrey W. Mitchell, his life, and celebrate his life. He did a wonderful thing for the Forest Service and was a great friend and a great son. I'm not going to say much right now because I probably can't. So I'm going to go ahead and let my sister Cheryl read the eulogy, and then we will go ahead and start with Josh Easter. And he's going to say a few words, and then we'll have Krista Lee say a few words, and then Kent Fida. And then we're going to have an open mic for anybody to say anything you want. We want this to be very informal. As you'll see, some of the stuff here is pure Jeffrey, his friends will know. And we're going to put out some of his sayings. And as he always said, free horsey rides. Oh, I'm sorry. It's on the program. We are going to start with an opening prayer. It is on the program. I just didn't read it. And I can't remember who we had that sang that first. It's Caleb. Caleb. Okay. My nephew Caleb is going to say the opening prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful and humble to be here today to celebrate the life of Jeff Mitchell. We're grateful for family, friends, and loved ones who have traveled so far to celebrate this occasion. And Heavenly Father, we bless that the Spirit be with us today, and we bless that through all the presenters, that they will be able to remember the thoughts that they have come to share with us. And we're truly grateful for all of our many blessings, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Hi everybody, I'm Cheryl the Crazy Aunt from California. Just want to say a few words about Jeff. Jeff had always just demonstrated his quiet determination through his entire life. This came out in simple ways, such as deciding when he was going to wear a hat and when he wasn't going to wear a hat. He preferred the cuisine of Denny's and pizza to any other food. He would prefer to have his graduation dinner at a Chinese restaurant. In the grocery store. So Jeff enjoyed the simple foods. Jeff, however, became an Eagle Scout in 2000, and he graduated from Jordan High School in Fannin, Utah in 2002, and continued his education to earn Associate of Science from the Salt Lake Community College. Jeff was the youngest member of the Crimson Club for the University of Utah basketball team. So he was very proud of that fact and enjoyed a long-standing competition with his grandfather, which often became tangible in several years. His grandfather's a BYU fan, in case you didn't. Jeff also enjoyed camping and hiking and really loved working in the forestry and respected his fellow rangers. He often commented that he had an office with the best view ever. Jeff is survived by his mother Carla, father Michael, sister Amanda, and a ton of aunts and uncles and cousins. This ceremony was specifically requested not to have any formal attire whatsoever. So no high heels, no nylons, no pantyhose, no pants, prefer shorts and sandals. Jeff's big heart and quiet strength will be greatly missed. Thank you very much for coming. Who's next?
Josh.
Josh. Quiet in the back. Wearing Jeff's favorite group.
So for those that don't know me, my name's Josh, and I've been Jeff's roommate off and on a couple times for the past year. So pretty much worked with him a little bit before servicing Duchesne, and ultimately that's how we came to know each other. To put it simply, Jeff was a damn good friend to me. Helped me through some tough times of my own, actually. Anyway, he helped me out, my cats, when I would go away. He loved taking care of my cats. You guys have probably seen a picture of him with the black cat, that Spook. You think you'd love that cat. I don't think the cat loved him back. But yeah, words can't explain the type of friendship that Jeff and I formed in such a short period of time, just in a year's worth. Anyway, yeah, last night I turned on some Boards of Canada, had a small drink, and helped put the emotions together in the best way I thought possible. And I figured that the most important thing here is to remind ourselves of how Jeff's qualities and values influence those closest to him. And from this, his impact on all of us should be carried through to the end. So in honor of just remembering how Jeff influenced all of us, I'll just outline some things how he influenced me. He gave me a deep insight in what it means to deeply care and appreciate what you do for a career. He also taught me why the sky is blue. He corrected me on that. It was pretty funny. I thought it was because of the ocean. Jeff corrected me on that. It's pretty intelligent. He reinforced within myself the importance of being a true friend. And also, I'm sorry if this offends anybody, but true to Jeff, I know he'd get a kick out of this. That he also taught me that influenced me in that many gender, binary, non-binary, genderqueer, etc. people on Twitter are all offended about one thing or another. Everyone is offended. That's to be more understanding, to be able to admit faults, to be truthful to oneself, to be able to open up to those you feel closest to, despite feeling vulnerable. These are all things Jeff influenced me through. And also, of course, the importance of the Utes being BYU. I think that goes without saying, just a reminder. It is from these influences that Jeff will persist through time, within my mind, and never to be forgotten. So, whenever I'm in the wilderness, I'll see Jeff in it. He will be there with me. When I meet someone with powerful integrity, Jeff will come to my mind. And when my cats are being weird, I'll think of Uncle Bad Touch, which Jeff referred to himself as such. I think Jeff, like I said, I think Jeff liked my cats more than he did me. When I feel like I'm frustrated by politics and culture and people being offended by everything, I know Jeff will be there by my side laughing his ass off. Jeff was a good, honest friend. Even when he was at the lowest point in what seemed to be in his life, he constantly put forth effort to make sure that I knew he was a caring, truthful friend with, I can't stress this enough, with impeccable integrity. And knowing all that, I know, and what I know about him, all Jeff's faults, all his qualities, his interests, everything, I couldn't ask for a better friend. Who's next?
Krista.
Krista.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I wrote down what I wanted to say in case I got too nervous or too sad. I'm probably just going to end up reading this. So I'm Krista, and I have been a very close friend with Jeff's since 2002, so for 16 years. We were not just friends, but we were also housemates a few times over that expansive time. He lived with my family in Conwood Heights in 2008, and then we had 2 apartments together the last few years. We met at the Midvale Pizza Hut when we were dreamy and silly 17-year-olds. And we loved to sneak across the street to the 7-Eleven when we should have been answering the phones. Jeff and I had such an awesome friendship for so many years, and when I reflect back on it, I think of all the really silly things we did and said, and I think of some really sweet moments when 2 friends really supported one another. And I think of the serious moments when we had to confront our unbeautiful sides and really deal with the harshness of life. And it was so wonderful to have such a supportive friendship for those moments. Over such a long friendship, there were definitely tears and long trips and short trips and talks that lasted till morning. And I do mean that literally. Jeff and I stayed up talking all night on dozens of occasions. As teens and into our early 20s, we would fairly regularly close at Pizza Hut together, which could mean leaving at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then most of the time after that, we didn't want to go home. So we would usually end up at Denny's, the 24-hour diner. And we would honestly just sit there and talk for the rest of the entire night. It was kind of ridiculous. We loved it. And we even had a regular waitress. Her name was Coco. And every time she would see it, she would say, "Here comes my all-nighters," every time we walked in the door. And she wasn't wrong. And if we weren't at Denny's in the middle of the night, we would often be sitting on the freeway overpass, the one that leads to the Midvale Red Lobster parking lot. We would just sit up there and just talk all night long, watching the cars drive by underneath us, until the sun started rising and it started to hurt our tired eyes. And then it was time to go home. I don't know how, but we just never ran out of things to say to each other. I was thinking about this, and I thought, I don't think there's one other person in the entire world that I have said so many words to. We just loved a nice long chat together, and it's a habit that we fell right back into again when we were housemates for the second time a few years ago. So just endless streams of conversation. So Jeff was really a huge part of my life. And so losing that reassuring constant in my life, that enormous presence of Jeff's friendship, is such a heartbreaking loss. It was truly one of the great gifts of my life to be Jeff's friend. And I know so many of us here feel that same way. Jeff had this amazing ability to make everyone feel like they were his favorite friend. And having a privileged place in Jeff's life, it really was special. It's hard to accept reality now. This is absolutely a goodbye coming way too soon. I'm sure we all took for granted that Jeff would be around for so much longer. I did want to share just one funny story about my time as Jeff's housemate that really highlights the amazing friend he was. It's a little embarrassing to me, but so I love a good frozen hash brown, the kind that you bake in the oven. And when I moved in with Jeff a few years ago, I think his last roommate had left some bakeware behind in the bottom oven drawer. And there was a silicone baking tray in there, which I thought was really cool. I'd actually never seen one of those before. And one morning, I wanted hash browns for Brekkie for breakfast, so I warmed the oven up to 450 degrees, and I arranged my hash browns on that cool new tray that I'd never used before, and I stuck it in the oven. And so they're supposed to cook for 25 minutes, flipping them over halfway through. And I thought that maybe in those first 12 to 13 minutes before the hash browns would need my attention again, I could squeeze in a really quick shower. Our apartment had a terrible hot water heater. It only lasted for 10 minutes. So I knew I could be right in and right out. And Jeff was actually up. He was in the living room. So I told him that I was baking something. I was going to hop in the shower, but I'd be right back out. But while I was in the shower, I heard Jeff yelling, Krista, these are burning. And I had unrinsed shampoo in my hair, and I ran out in a towel into the kitchen and discovered that I hadn't actually used that cool silicone baking tray. I had put the hash browns on a plastic tray that really shouldn't have been down in that oven drawer anyway, but I didn't even realize it, and I had stuck plastic into the oven at 450 degrees. It, of course, melted into fantastic forms and drips all over the oven interior and onto the pull-out oven racks. We turned the heat off right away because it was also smoking, but that only allowed the plastic to cool over the racks and become super hardened. It was so embarrassing. I felt so foolish. I put plastic in the oven. But Jeff was so great about it. He just laughed. He thought it was hilarious. He didn't even tease me about it. He just laughed. And he said, oh, don't worry about it. No big deal. But those oven racks were ruined. And Jeff was so helpful. He took it upon himself to call around to Whirlpool distribution centers and other places. And he got us some quotes. And he even tried to haggle the prices down. But I thought this was shocking. To replace those oven racks, we needed this specific oven rack so they fit in the oven. It was going to cost $200. I thought that was crazy. But I had done a really dumb thing, so I was fully prepared to pay up for my mistake. It was almost an apartment burning down mistake. But Jeff said, let's see if we can get that plastic off. So we spent the next week sitting out on our balcony, clipping away at all of that plastic and twisting it with pliers, and even after a week, there was still so much of it left. But I came home from work one day, and Jeff had surprised me by finishing the entire job. He must have just spent the entire day at it, and it was amazing. I told him, you didn't have to do that. But he said, no, I loved it. Thanks for giving me something so satisfying to do. I thought it was crazy. I almost destroyed the oven and our home, and not only was Jeff not at all annoyed at me for being dumb, but he loved the tedious, hand-aching task I created out of it. I was like, why are you thanking me? But I remember really thinking in that moment, like, wow, Jeff is so great. What a great friend. I'm really lucky. And I told him that, of course. But then the funniest thing happened. So one day after we successfully clipped all that melted plastic off the racks, we walked down to our apartment complex's hot tub, and on the way, we saw that another unit was being remodeled, and there was a huge dumpster outside, and it was being filled up with old carpet and stuff. And an oven, just like ours, was sitting there on the ground, clearly about to be dumped. And we looked at each other and said, what? No way. And we walked over to it, we opened the oven drawer, and sure enough, 2 pristine oven racks left in there, free for the taking. It was just too funny. The timing, after we'd spent all that time clipping away at the plastic. But that whole experience is just such a nice reminder of me of my friendship with Jeff and how outrageously generous and giving he could be, and how great he was to me. And it's so hard to even retell this story right now because all I want to do is talk to Jeff and remind him of it and have a good laugh at my expense and say thank you again for that, and thank you for that memory and for so many other amazing memories that I had. I've had this constant urge to talk to Jeff these last few weeks. A lot of things have happened and I keep wanting to tell Jeff all about it. Like, I went out to lunch with a mutual friend from a few years ago, and I haven't seen in ages, and I wanted to tell Jeff, you'll never believe how I reconnected with Colin. Colin's so great. And I wanted to tell him, like, oh my gosh, I've been talking with your dad, and he's so fantastic. We should all go hiking together. Or, I've seen so many adorable pictures of you as a young guy, and I've been talking with Jolene a bunch, and she's so amazing. And then I remember, like, oh yeah, all of this is happening because of you and because you're gone, and I can't talk to you about it. And it's just genuinely shocking and shattering every time I realize I can't talk to Jeff. I keep picking up my phone and, realizing Jeff's, not there on the other end anymore. But I feel really grateful that I get to remember Jeff with all of you here and to share memories and stories. This is really special. Thank you all so much. And if I could say one last message for Jeff, it would be, Jeff, I'm going to remember you forever, and I'm going to miss you. I'm always going to miss you. Your friendship truly was one of the great gifts of my life. And I'll remember all that you imparted to me. It was a lot. And over the next few years, I'm going to finish fulfilling our goal of seeing all 43 of Utah State Parks. And I'll be thinking of you at every single one of them. I have little sticker pictures of you and your Forest Service gear that are getting printed right now. And I'm going to try to leave one in each of those state parks that I visit. Maybe like in the Deserters Walk or something. And I'll be carrying you in my heart and in my most privileged memories forever. It's a different world without Jeff in it, but I want his family especially to know that I am among, hopefully, the many who will sincerely and earnestly work to carry Jeff's memory and legacy forward so it can live on in this world. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Mike, Carl, Amanda, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm Kent Fita. I went to middle school with Jeff. And they say the only thing that ruins a story is an eyewitness. Well, Jeff isn't physically here, so I guess I get to tell the stories, and he can't rebut them. So here goes. So I'll start with how we met. Jeff Dent introduced us in middle school, and Jeff Mitchell always told me that he remembered I gave him the dirtiest look, like he was trying to steal my friend away, right? Because, Jeff Dent recently, at that point, started BMXing, and I was still stuck on mountain biking, right? And so Jeff Mitchell was in the same Boy Scout troop, went to the same church, lived in the same neighborhood. I'm like, oh man, I lost a friend for sure. So, but as we know, everything worked out. So I started hanging out with Jeff Dent and Jeff Mitchell at the same time, or Jeff Mitchell, by himself. And I found out that he was, even in middle school, he was gruff in a funny way, and he was a really good friend because he was nice. His family was nice. He had good dogs. And you didn't mind hanging out with them, even though we didn't have much in common. Again, we ended up going to different schools, taking different career paths. We shared our interest in mountain biking, I tried to share his interest in hiking, but he would just crush me, right? He would just out hike me every time. So we only ended up going on 2 big backpacking trips. So if Jeff was here, he would say that he thought that when I was calling him to hang out, that I was trying to like beat him up over Jeff Dent, or he thought I had a crush on him. In fact, he never slept over. You know, you're in middle school, you sleep over a lot, right? He never slept over at my house for that very reason, come to find out, years later, right? So, again, initially we were more different than alike, or at least at first glance. But that wasn't important because we genuinely appreciate each other's friendship. We appreciate each other's mutual respect. We treated each other the way we wanted to be treated, and so that's how I became friends with Jeff. Between middle school and high school, his personality grew into the gruff, confident, happy, and fun Jeff we miss. Just some middle school stories. He was one of the first kids on the block with a CD burner, so he started a CD pirating scheme, and he's pretty smart, resourceful. He just figured he's trying to pay back his initial investment, and of course, and that was one of the things he loved. Obviously, was music, and that was one of the ways he and his friends could trade music. And introduce each other to what they were listening to before all the various social media that we can do it nowadays. I think I learned how to properly tease a dog from Jeff. He would rename them on a weekly or daily basis. He would spin them in his swivel chair and not get bit somehow. And they loved him either because of the teasing or despite of it. But they did get back at him. I remember they used to chew up his stuff, and I think that was the most angry I ever saw him was when one of his dogs had chewed up his food, his shoes or his hat or something like that. So tease a dog at your own risk. He took great pride in his interest in military history and NASA and World War II. And I think the point I realized he was just what a remarkable friend he was when my grandpa came into town, and my parents, we all went to Jordan Commons for that cliff diving restaurant, right? And I had the opportunity to pick a friend to bring along, and I picked Jeff because my other friends who, Jared and Frank, so nobody here, they make fun of my parents, right? And so I was pretty sure they were gonna make act stupid in front of my grandpa, and I did not want that. So, and my mom reminded me that when we drove away, I said, hey, it really puts things into perspective of how good a friend Jeff is when I take pride in introducing him to my family, my grandparents. So during middle school and high school, he didn't mind driving. I hated it, so I probably owe him $1,000 in gas money. So I guess I'll be planting a lot of trees. But in high school, so he would always drive around. We'd listen to music. We'd talk about school, talk about girls. I tried to be his wingman, but I just wasn't much help. Well, in fact, long term, he provided me a much better relationship advice than I provided him. And I'm sure there's a saying there, a quotable quote from Jeff there that I can come back to, but I don't remember it right now. We did take 2 backpacking trips. His parents took me to the WAC tournament in high school to watch Utah play in Las Vegas. That was awesome. Fortunately, we were able to reciprocate. We took him to the Fiesta Bowl to watch Urban Meyer, Alex Smith break the BCS Bowl, or break the BCS system at Arizona State University. And one of my mom's memories of him was just seeing me, my brother, and Jeff kind of marching around at the pregame and shouting "Go Utes!" And I think when Jeff was excited, he would yell to the sky whatever it was he was excited about, and cup his hand, maybe 2 hands if he was really excited. And I mean, that's one of the things, I'm sure we all love about Jeff. We also went to the Emerald Bowl in San Francisco. That's where most of my pictures came from. Again, Utah beat the other team, whoever they were, I don't remember. And one of the pictures I love was so let me double back. So I remember sitting in my basement with Jeff trying to find a hotel. And I'm like, Union Square, that's where we gotta be. And so he's like, well, there's this website, and you pick your fare or you pick your rate, and it'll like find a hotel for you. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, dude. And so I'm thinking we're staying at the hotel right on Union Square. Turns out we're gonna stay at a high-rise hotel in the Tenderloin district in San Francisco. It's a great place if you want to, stay across from like a porn shop and have people like try to sell marijuana to you outside in broad daylight. But it worked out because it was a great hotel. And I think my favorite pictures from that trip was Jeff sitting in the window, just watching the world below us like fall apart, right? Because you got the police, you got the weirdos down there, and it's just quintessential San Francisco. So I do recommend staying in the Tenderloin district in Jeff's honor. So we also went to Oceanside, San Diego for spring break in 2006. I remember Jeff was so dedicated to working out that despite enjoying the beach and San Diego, that we had to find a 24-hour fitness. So that's, with all the surfing, that's what I remember about that trip, is when Jeff and I went to 24-hour fitness. Let's see. I remember his favorite sayings. I'll go into some favorite sayings before I close out. The one that stuck in my mind when I was asked was free horsey rides. So you'd call him, and if he knew your phone number, he would pick up the answer, free horsey rides, or something to that effect. Something funny but ominous. And that was, he just had a really, I think that's another reason we got along, is because our sense of humor is kind of matched. I remember he loved jokes, he loved pranks. One of the pictures I have of him that looks like it may be his proudest moment is there with the slick bear. Was anybody here for that? Okay, are you going to tell that story? Because I'll stop. Okay, well, I'm going to stop. All right, so I remember, I won't talk about his nickname because I think there's some Jordan friends here who can tell us that. So this year, I realized how long a friend we'd been, because I was driving, had my phone responsibly on Bluetooth, and I was calling Jeff to see what's up or to leave him a message. And so our typical message was we would take the whole voicemail allotted and just yell, like, pick up the phone, you blah, 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 whatever, so-and-so. And I had my kids in the back seat, and they're sleeping. I'm like, wow, I can't do that anymore in front of my kids. So, but we would still do that. And so the last voicemail I have from him, probably not the last, just the last one I have in my phone's memory, was he's calling, Happy Thanksgiving, you blank. Happy Thanksgiving, you blank. And then he thanked me and my wife for our service. If he was physically here today, I guess I'll do it anyway. Jeff, I want to thank him for his service, because serving the Forest Service, serving our natural resources, making our economy grow. I can't serve if he doesn't do that. And that goes for everybody here. So the other funny catchphrases my brother wanted to send was, he was a big proponent of cloning Lonesome George, the last of his kind of this Galapagos variety of tortoise. Unfortunately, they did not clone Lonesome George before he died. He liked the movie Dirty Work, so every now and then we'd call each other Turd Ferguson. That was all right. And then his exasperated yells or groans of, come on, or give me a break. And so I wrote this one in this morning because I remembered it. There's an older man on the flight today, and he had his backpack, and he's kind of walking around, looking around like, I don't know if he's trying to find a better seat or trying to find a better place to put his backpack. And if Jeff was there, he would have probably at least thought or told me, "Come on, Grandpa." And he did accuse me of driving like a grandpa pretty often, which is accurate. And so I'll close out with, I want to tell you just a memory I have of our trip hiking out of St. George. So in college spring break, we went to kind of a hiking trip through the Southwest. We ended up in St. George. That was going to be our last backpacking hike. And I remember, it was spring break in St. George, so pretty hot. The trails were not well packed. They're real sandy. So we, started getting blisters, started making a lot slower progress than we thought we would, and drinking more water than we thought we would, is what it is, right? But he was very concerned about our water consumption. And he was very prudent to be concerned about that. For some reason, I wasn't as concerned. And I said, "Hey, look, there's all these streams on the map." Well, in the desert, most of those streams are dry, and you just cross them, right? So we made camp the first night. Didn't sleep very well because they're hot, thirsty, nervous. Next day, we finally make it to a real-world wet stream depicted on the map. And we sat in the culvert or like a bridge or whatever it was. I just remember we found some shade. We sat there for about 2 hours, just kind of sitting, purifying and then drinking the water because you got to wait an hour, right, after you put your iodine tablet or whatever it is. I think he was probably listening to his CD player. I might have had music too, and we're just sitting there enjoying the cool, enjoying being hydrated again, and then we hiked out again the same day. And I don't know why, but that image, I was just sitting there with Jeff, just not doing anything in particular. And, just the relief of having that water. And that just sums up our friendship and my experience with Jeff. And again, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know he'd be pissed at me right now. He probably is. I mean, tearing up because this should be a joyous time where we tell funny stories about Jeff, and he can't tell funny stories about us, right? He would appreciate we can take advantage of that. So, again, I'm so sorry for your loss. Jeff, I thank you for your service. Anybody out here paying taxes, I'm out here on your dime, so thank you for your service. And
Thanks, Kent and Krista. Josh, I really appreciate you guys coming out here, and at actually at great expense. And, made a lot of effort to get here, and say one of the things I know, everybody here has some kind of story about Jeff. And since I'm not crying right now, maybe I'll tell a story. I know when I first noticed his sense of humor, and